Victor tightened his black belt, the gold embroidery flashing under the gym lights. He was the king of this dojo, fast, powerful, and arrogant. But today, he wasn't looking for a real contender. He was looking for a joke. He pointed a gloved finger toward the back of the gym where a small, gray-haired man was mopping a spill. "Hey, Lito, drop the mop," Victor shouted, his voice echoing. "Let's see if those Filipino reflexes are real. One round, just for fun." The gym went silent. Nobody laughed, because everyone knew what happened next changed the reputation of that gym forever. The setup Lito was 60 years old. He was the man who emptied the trash, scrubbed the mats, and stayed late to lock the doors. He was invisible. Most of the young fighters didn't even know his last name. They just saw a quiet immigrant with calloused hands and a permanent limp in his right leg. Victor, on the other hand, was 30. He was a regional MMA champion. He liked to show off. He liked the sound of his own shins hitting the heavy bag. And he hated being ignored. Lito shook his head, leaning on his mop. "No, Salamat, Mr. Victor. I am old. My bones are like glass." The students chuckled. Victor smirked. "Come on, Lito. Just a light spar. I won't even use my hands. I'll give you $100 if you can touch my head once." $100 was half a week's pay for Lito. He looked at the money, then at the mop, and finally at the black belt standing in the center of the mat like a predator. Lito sighed. He took off his yellow rubber gloves. He kicked off his worn-out sneakers. "Okay," Lito said softly, "just for fun." The tension. As Lito stepped onto the mat, the atmosphere changed. He didn't bounce like a kickboxer. He didn't square up like a wrestler. He stood completely still. His hands weren't in fists. They were open, hanging loosely at his sides. "He's terrified," one of the blue belts whispered. Victor started dancing. He threw a lightning-fast jab that stopped an inch from Lito's nose. Lito didn't even blink. "Move, old man," Victor laughed. "If you don't move, you're going to get hurt." Victor decided to end the joke quickly. He wound up for a roundhouse kick, the kind that finishes fights. It was a blur of black fabric and muscle, but when the kick landed, it didn't hit ribs. It hit air. Lito hadn't jumped back. He had stepped in. In the blink of an eye, the frail janitor was inside Victor's guard. His hand moved so fast the camera barely caught it. He didn't punch Victor. He simply tapped him twice on the collarbone with 2 fingers. Tap, tap. Victor stumbled back, confused. "What was that? Stop playing around." The shift. Victor was angry now. His ego was bruised in front of his students. He stopped playing. He lunged forward with a flurry of strikes, hooks, crosses, knees. But Lito was like a ghost. He didn't block. He redirected. Every time Victor swung, Lito used the momentum to send Victor spinning into the ropes. It looked like a dance, but to those who knew martial arts, it looked like a masterclass. Lito's limp was gone. His eyes, usually clouded with fatigue, were now sharp as glass. "You move like a bull, Mr. Victor," Lito said, his voice calm and steady. "But the bull always loses to the matador." Victor roared and went for a double-leg takedown. He wanted to slam the old man into the floor. He collided with Lito with full force. The crowd gasped. They expected to hear Lito's ribs snap. Instead, they heard a thud. Victor was on his back. Lito was standing over him, holding Victor's own black belt in his hand. He had untied it from Victor's waist in the middle of the scramble, without Victor even feeling it. The reveal. The gym was deathly quiet. Victor sat on the mat, breathless, staring up at his janitor. Who are you? Victor wheezed. Lito didn't answer. He walked over to the wall where the gym's Wall of Fame hung. He pointed to a grainy, black-and-white photograph from the 1980s. It was a picture of the Philippine national Arnis team. In the center was a young man holding two rattan sticks, standing over a fallen opponent. The caption read, Eskrima, Grandmaster Lito de la Cruz, undefeated. I didn't come to this country to fight, Lito said, tossing the black belt back onto Victor's chest. I came to give my daughter a degree. In my village, we don't fight for trophies. We fight to survive. There is a big difference. Lito picked up his yellow rubber gloves. He grabbed his mop. The spill is still there, Mr. Victor. Please don't slip. It would be a shame for a champion to fall on a wet floor. Victor never bullied anyone in that gym again. In fact, he did something nobody expected. The next day, Victor didn't lead the class. He sat on the floor, in the back, behind the white belts. He waited until Lito finished his shift. When Lito walked by, Victor bowed his head to the floor. Teach me, he whispered. Lito looked at the champion, then at the mop. He handed the mop to Victor. First, Lito said, with a small smile, you learn how to clean. Then you learn how to be clean. From that day on, the most dangerous man in the gym wasn't the one wearing the black belt. It was the man holding the bucket. Lito's secret was hidden for decades. But wait until you see what happens when an arrogant CEO tries to evict an old woman from her shack, only to realize she owns the land his skyscraper is built on. You have to see this.